to historic Whiskey Row. Kat Moody.
Good morning. I am the City of Prescott Historic Preservation Specialist, and I'm here this morning to get the county's opinion on this item that was brought before the City of Prescott. It was initially presented at a City Council meeting. Dave Michelson submitted a petition with business owners on the 100 South Montezuma block, Montezuma Street block. His request was that one block of South Montezuma be renamed, the actual street name be changed officially to, quote, historic Whiskey Row. So if somebody whose address used to be 118 South Montezuma Street would become 118 historic Whiskey Row. So this would only impact one block of South Montezuma Street. And in order to get the process approved through the city, we have a standard process where all the property owners on the street are required to sign off an agreement on this. So I'll go through some of the additional input that we solicited, so we're covering all the potential interested parties for this potential street name renaming request. We solicited input from the city's Transportation Engineering Division, and they were asked to submit an opinion. I'll read you their comments. Prescott has many examples of streets which change names along their length. However, it is not standard signing practice to rename individual blocks and/or to rename a block segment between two sections of the same street. Typically, this type of special recognition would be accomplished with banners and/or special sign placards indicating a historic name, district, or significance. This name change may cause difficulty for roadway users looking for a specific address because of the discontinuity of the addressing. If the change is made, the existing South Montezuma Street addressing would end at the 200 block, and then there would be a 100 block of historic Whiskey Row, and then a 100 block of North Montezuma Street. Those unfamiliar with the area may become confused when the North and South Montezuma Street addressing does not immediately abut, but instead the street name changes. This type of block naming may be desired in other areas of the city if it is allowed here, i.e. Cortez Street could become Antique Row. A block name change is anticipated to have no effect on traffic operations or safety. So that is from the city's Transportation Engineering Division. As part of the normal street name or addressing change request, we send out the request to the city's addressing staff, the county's addressing staff, and the regional dispatch center. And the approval from that came back in. It was approved with strong reservations. The comments about the reservations were, yes, with reservations for street naming convention to maintain a continuous street name. This would interrupt the street naming for Montezuma and make it confusing for visitors to Prescott. Because this street is part of a National Register District and a local historic preservation overlay district, which is the Courthouse Plaza District, I consulted the State Historic Preservation Office. All our documentation for the National Register listings in these properties in the Historic District, maps and guidelines, all reference South Montezuma Street. So I asked them to weigh in on the request. And they wrote, the consensus from State Historic Preservation Office is that the name should not be changed, but that the actual row of buildings be marketed or marked with Whiskey Row on Montezuma Street, but that the final decision should be left to the citizens of Prescott. And then, as an effort to reach out to both the property owners and the business owners on the street, we sent a form to get feedback regarding this rename from all the property owners on the 100 block of South Montezuma, the property owners on the two adjacent blocks, as well the bracketing blocks, and all the businesses on 100 South Montezuma. And out of those forms, I'll give you the results of what we received back. There are 11 property owners, minus Yavapai County, who were solicited. 5 are in favor of the renaming, 1 is against, 1 is neutral and is willing to go with the majority, 4 did not respond. Of the 24 businesses contacted on the 100 block, 12 were in favor, 1 is against, 11 did not respond. And from the adjoining blocks, 18 property owners were contacted, 5 were in favor, 3 were against, and 10 did not respond. And I'm here today to get the opinion as the major property owner on that block, and I realize the county courthouse building is not addressed on Montezuma Street, but the county does own the entire east side of this block, of this street segment, which would be renamed if this gets approved. And so I'm here today to solicit your opinion as property owner, if you would like to weigh in on this issue. I'll tell you where we're at in the process. This is the final piece of input we're going to receive before this Friday's Preservation Commission meeting. At October's Preservation Commission, the Preservation Commission deferred action, awaiting the rest of the property owner input. And so I'll take what I received from this meeting today to this Friday's Preservation meeting, and I would expect the Preservation Commission to make some kind of a statement of either approval or to not approve, and at that point, this item will go back to City Council for final decision. And with that, I'll turn it over to Scott.
So legally, you could change a road name without having 100% approval?
I don't believe there's a precedent set for it, but I think it ultimately will lie with the City Council.
Mr. Hunt, is that your opinion too?
Not familiar enough with the city's procedure to be able to say what it takes to get it done inside the city, so.
I could ask Mr. Mock, because he's around here somewhere. There he is. When we do a name change in the county, what percentage of the people on that street has to be before we'll push it that will change the name?
When we do a name change on a road, it's actually approved administratively with the input, so it's not a requirement that we have X amount of property owners or affected owners.
No.
Although we do give it a lot of weight when we take this into consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a question?
What's the courthouse address? Is it off of Gurley?
I think it's off of Gurley.
Yes.
Is it off of
Cortez?
Okay, thank you.
So we ran by South Santa Marco. And we ran it by our court personnel. We find out if there would be a lot of imposition.
Yeah. Go ahead, comment.
Well, this is a real tough one, because I can understand why, because it's a great marketing tool. But I looked down there, and there is a sign up that says Whiskey Row on Montezuma Street. But in thinking about it and how it can possibly disrupt traffic for visitors, and tourism is such a major part of this area's economy, and it's confusing enough with all the traffic down around the courthouse square, that I've come to the conclusion that I would not support a name change. I would support more marketing efforts of the Whiskey Row designation. I'm not terribly fond of putting that historic in it. Just Whiskey Row. I think people know it as Whiskey Row. And so I think it's great to do a more marketing in that area, and including signage on the streets. That would be great. But I personally cannot support the name change.
You are correct that it is signed. It's actually signed both traveling eastbound and westbound on the two adjoining. So if you're traveling on Montezuma or Goodwin Street, traveling either eastbound or westbound, there's a brown Whiskey Row with an arrow sign pointing to that one block. So there's currently 4 pieces of signage designating it with that historic brown marker sign, which is standard.
Did Prescott Downtown Partnership weigh in?
No, they have not.
Just the individual businesses?
The individual businesses on that block.
And did the Chamber of Commerce weigh in?
Nope.
Are they slated to have comment?
No, they wouldn't normally be slated beyond the representation of their membership in the street that's in the businesses that are affected, people who will have to actually change letterhead, legal documents, and, you know, all the things that are downstream of an address change potentially for those businesses.
I got on the internet and looked at some of the different sites that talk about the fire, and the majority of them say Montezuma Street. They don't say Whiskey Row. So my concern would be at Charlotte Hall, all of a sudden they'd say Montezuma Street, but it really isn't Montezuma Street. Now it's Whiskey Row, the historic Whiskey Row, and so there's more confusion there. And you know, normally I would never get involved with something that's going on in downtown Prescott, because really, other than the county being the landowner there, you know, it's more of a city of Prescott item. And I'm just not feeling warm and fuzzy by the existing property owners that they're really for this. And you know, if everybody on that block was for it, and the city was for it, and the PDP was for it, and the court was okay with it, then I don't think I should stand in the way. But I'm not seeing that. I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy, and I'm going to agree with Supervisor Springer. I think right now I would not be in favor of changing that. There's just too much historic documents showing Whiskey Row as being Montezuma Street. Okay? So I don't know if this was, I think, a referral or a recommendation or an action. It could be either. So Supervisor Davis, you heard these two supervisors' opinion. What would yours be?
Well, I think Supervisor Springer nailed it. I think we can still keep the historic name of the street, and we can have the Whiskey Row signage to designate it. And similar to what we have right now, so I'm okay with that. And I think it would be less disruptive, again, for visitors and existing businesses and our court staff.
Okay?
Okay?
I think you have direction.
Yes, I do.
I want to back up a little bit on the other agenda item, and that's about naming historic Whiskey Row, and you weren't real excited about that. None of you were.
Well, you know, I was surprised. I thought everybody and his brother was for that. And then when I started to hear some of the property owners, yes, business owners, and then the city of Prescott having reservations, the Prescott Fire Department having reservations, the Prescott Police Department having reservations. You know, you started listening to the other side of the story, and I said, you know, maybe this isn't such a smart idea for emergency response.
Right, but you didn't take any action on that. It was just more to get your opinion. Correct?
That's correct. It was a direction, and I didn't see that the direction was very favorable.
Okay, and you're going to have some new some new supervisors on board with you pretty soon. And do you think things are going to change a lot once they're there?
No, I'm very happy with the ones that got elected in the primary, and so I still have to get elected tomorrow. But on the flip side, I'm fairly confident. But no, I think we got a great good people, and I think things will work out well for all of this county.
Okay, thanks, Tom, very much.